All right, so today we're going to be in this video making an appetizer from the Healthy Treats cookbook, and it's Mulan inspired, and it's called Zhou baked egg rolls. And it's funny because I like in the description it says Zhou may not have eaten these with Mulan due to them being something from the 1930s, but they're sure he would have loved this appetizer. So making egg rolls, I'm a little excited about this because it's the first time I have ever made egg rolls. So anyway, here's some videos of me putting it together.
Here's step one, and basically I warmed up some oil in my wok and I added some garlic and some ginger, and now I'm adding some scallions to the mix. After the scallions and everything has cooked for a little bit, I am now adding some diced mushrooms into the pot. Mushrooms cooked for about 5 minutes or so, and now it's time to add the shredded carrots to the mix. The carrots were only cooking for about a minute, and now I'm adding the shredded cabbage into the mix. And it says to let this cook for about 10 minutes or so, or until the cabbage is basically reduced in half.
This is a little soy sauce with some cornstarch that I'm putting in here.
I'm stirring together the soy sauce mixture into the vegetables. Once it's nice and coated, I'll take it off the heat and put it into a bowl and get ready to roll my egg rolls. So here I'm rolling my first egg roll. So I took like 1/4 cup of the stuffing. I'm supposed to put it like into the side there, and I'm kind of using that to line it up, and decided to go get a spoon to help kind of get it in where I need it to be. Now I take the bottom corner and roll it over, just checking my instructions and the picture from it carefully on both of them to make sure I'm doing this properly. Then you flip the one side over, then the other, then it's kind of like a tuck and roll. Then when you're done, you just double checking here. You take some water and you seal it shut. My first one turned out a little thicker than it should have been, but I've got some clips coming next of a couple of the other ones I did where I learned to roll it a little bit tighter as I went. As I finish up rolling the egg rolls, the next step will be I'll take some vegetable oil and just brush all the sides in vegetable oil. Then I'll bake them in the oven, but I need to flip them about halfway through the baking process. And here it is about halfway through the baking process where I'm flipping them, and you can kind of see how the one side is cooked and a little brown. And now I'm ready to put them back into the oven to cook for the other half. While they're cooking, I am making the dipping sauce, and I'm starting with some honey, which it's a little sticky, as you can see. And I'm adding some other ingredients, like I've got some rice vinegar, some garlic. This is some soy sauce. There's a few other things that aren't included there. And this is the hot sauce, the sambal hot sauce. And I've used this in a few other recipes in these cookbooks. Now I'm just mixing it all together. Rolls done and out of the oven.
All right, taste test time. First, I'm going to try one by itself before I try it with the sauce. Yeah, it's pretty tasty. Some of the edges are a little crispy. Might have put them in the oven just a little bit longer, but that's actually pretty good. Maybe not Chinese restaurant good, but we'll see. Try out the dip now. I'm not quite sure what I think of that sauce just yet, but that's pretty good. All right, enjoy these. All right, so let's discuss that. There is no picture, by the way, of the cookbook here off to the side, so I didn't show one. They were actually really good. They really grew on me. were they as good as what you find in a Chinese restaurant? Probably not, but I mean, they have pork in it, stuff like that. But one, I could tell that they were definitely a lot healthier and lighter, because they were baked. The ingredients tasted fresher, and the sauce that I was unsure about, I think it's because it was a little sweet for me, really grew on me. And I think if I were to make it again, I'd maybe cut back the honey a little bit and add up a little bit more of the spice, but it was still really, really tasty. And I really did enjoy the egg rolls. And I will say, compared to especially ones you get in restaurants, they heated up nicely. Like, they were still pretty good a few days later. Usually egg rolls is something that doesn't heat up well. But let's get into the rankings and reviews, because I want to talk a little bit about the cost. And that's number one. One is the ingredients, where I kind of look at the cost and I look at the difficulty these are to find. And I'm going to give these, I waver again. I always have to look at stuff. I'm going to say like a 3.5. Believe it or not, a couple stores, it was hard to find egg roll wrappers. I think it was like the third store I went to where I actually found like the egg roll wrappers. And they weren't expensive. They were only like $3, but other stores I had a hard time finding them. So I could see that being difficult. And there's a lot of stuff in here, You got to buy the cabbage, you got to buy the veggies and all that kind of stuff. So when I think about the cost of buying these ingredients to what it costs to just buy an egg roll like at a store or frozen, this is a lot higher. So that's why I'm like, 3.5 is probably good, maybe a 4, but I don't know. A 4 feels a little high to me, but that's just me. Maybe to you this would be a 4 or 5, but so I think a 3 is a good, 3.5 is actually a good standpoint on the ingredients difficulty level on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 means it's super easy. 5 means it's hard, if you don't know that by now. See, this is where I struggle again. I think I'm gonna have to also give it like a 3.5 as well. I actually thought that the egg rolls were easier to wrap than I would expected. The book gave some instructions, which were helpful, but then there was also instructions in the egg rolls themselves, which I thought was good. And there are a lot of different steps involved with it. So I think, you've got to shred everything, put it together. So it's a little time consuming. So I think that's why I like that 3.5 in the middle, because it was just, it's a little bit more complicated than some other recipes, but I do think this is doable, especially for me who's never made egg rolls. This was a really good first time, and I actually kind of found it therapeutic wrapping the egg rolls after a while. And then would I make them again on a scale of 1 to 5? And, the 1 is the never and the 5 is the absolutely. I'm going to give them a solid 4. I really like these. I was really, at first, I was like, when I was making them, I was like, I'm never making these things again, because again, the time and the money when I can just buy them for so much cheaper, at my local Chinese restaurant, or I'm not going to compare to frozen ones. Frozen egg rolls are never that great, I got them 4 because I actually really did like them. Like I said, they were, after eating a couple of them, they really grew on me. They were fresh. I like that they heated up well. I like that they made a lot. I'm not going to make them often, though. So that's why I'm going to not giving them a 5, because I think there's just a lot of time and effort involved with them. So I'm definitely going to make them again someday, but they're going to be things that I'm probably going to just make every once in a while and not often. But yeah, I think if you've never made egg rolls, this is a really good, at least for me and anybody else, this was a really good first attempt in a recipe at trying to make those.